about attacks to Internet of Things. So what kind of attacks we have about IoT devices? So the outline of this lecture, first I would like to introduce Internet of Things, and then I will discuss here rise to Internet of Things attacks in the second part of lecture. I will focus on botnets and distributed denial of service attacks and data breach ransomwares. And the last part of lecture, I would like to give you some high-level talks about vulnerabilities in IoT devices and mitigating IoT attacks. First, we have to understand introduction to IoT. So Internet of Things refers to the network of interconnected physical devices, vehicles, appliances, and other objects which are embedded with the sensors, software, and connectivity that gonna enable them to collect, exchange, and act upon data. So the broader definition of IoT means IoT devices encompass a diverse range of objects from consumer electronics like smart home appliance and wearable devices to industrial machinery infrastructure components. So these devices interact with the physical world through sensors and actuators that gonna capture data about their environment and performing action based on the data. And also these gonna provide connectivity, means how we gonna connect IoT devices. These can be connected with the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, and cellular networks. So these devices gonna enable the IoT devices to communicate with each other, and with the centralized systems. Uh, Often we can use like internet. So let me give you examples of IoT devices, smart like thermostats that adjust temperature settings based on accuracy and weather conditions. Then we have here wearable fitness trackers which gonna monitor physical activity and health metrics, and then we have industrial sensors that monitor equipment performance and environmental conditions in manufacturing facilities. And also we have like a smart city infrastructure such as traffic lights, surveillance cameras, and waste management systems. So these are very important examples of IoT devices. So now we have to understand the significance of IoT. So IoT technology gonna facilitate automation, efficiency, and data-driven decision making across various domains, like we can use in healthcare, transportation, to agriculture and energy management. So the proliferation of the IoT devices is transforming industries, enhancing productivity and improving quality of life for individuals and communities. So these are some benefits we have by using the IoT devices. Let me understand here rise of IoT attacks. Our focus will be here, particularly three different types of attacks, bottlenecks and DDoS, data breach and ransomware. So first, I would like to give you highlight talks about the rise of IoT attacks. The rapid growth of IoT devices has significantly increased their attractiveness as targets for cyber criminals. As more and more devices are connected to internet, they create a vast and often poorly secured attack surface. So let's delve into the common types of attacks that cyber criminals employ against IoT devices. First is here a common type of IoT device we usually call the botnets and distributed denial of service attacks. So here the botnets are like networks which are compromised devices. So those devices are controlled by malicious actors, often without the knowledge of their owners. These devices, which can include IoT devices such as webcams, routers, and smart home gadgets, are infected with a malware that allows them to be remotely controlled. So one of the primary use of botnet is to launch a distributed denial of service attack. So it means we can initiate a DDoS attack by using the botnets. So in the DDoS, compromised devices flood a target server or network with a overwhelming volume of traffic, rendering it inaccessible to legitimate users. So IoT botnets have been responsible for some of the largest DDoS attacks in history, including Mirai botnet attack that happened in 2016. So because of this attack, mostly targeted like DNS server service provider, and it disrupted internet access of millions of users. Second attack is here data breach. IoT devices often collect and transmit sensitive data about their users, such as personal information, login credential, and behavioral patterns. This data is valuable to cyber criminals for various malicious purposes, including identity theft, financial fraud, and espionage. So data breaches occur when attackers exploit vulnerabilities in IoT devices or their associated cloud services to gain unauthorized access to this sensitive information. So common vulnerability exploited in IoT devices include weak authentication mechanisms, encrypted communications channels, and insecure fireware. So the consequences of IoT data breach can be severe, leading to financial losses, reputational damage, and privacy violations for individuals and organizations. And third one is a ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malware that encrypts the files or systems of victims and demands ransom, means money, means payment, usually in cryptocurrency or in exchange for decrypting data and restoring access. So ransomware attacks have traditionally targeted computers and servers. They are increasingly targeting IoT devices. IoT ransom attacks typically involve compromising vulnerable devices such as network attached storage. We usually call the NAS devices, smart TVs, and industrial control systems, and encrypting their data or disrupting their functionality. The attackers then demand ransom payments from device owners in exchange for restoring a normal operations. IoT ransom attacks gonna pose significant risks to individuals and organizations as they can disrupt critical services that gonna cause the physical harm in industrial settings and result in financial losses and operational downtime. So we can say here the rapid proliferations of IoT devices has made prime targets for cyber criminals seeking to exploit vulnerabilities for financial gain, data theft, and disruptions of services. Understanding the common types of attacks against IoT devices is crucial for developing effective security strategy to mitigate these risks and protect both users and the broader internet ecosystems. So here the role of botnets and DDoS attacks. We already know the botnets are networks of compromised devices that are remotely controlled by cyber criminals, typically through the use of malware. These compromised devices are often referred to as bots or zombies, which include computers, servers, routers, IoT devices. So botnets are created by infecting a large number of devices with a malware, which gives the attacker control over them. So we can say the IoT devices, uh, particularly connecting due to their sheer numbers and often inadequate security measures implemented in these devices. So the cyber criminals exploit vulnerabilities in IoT devices to infect them with the malware, effectively turning them into partners nodes. Once a device is compromised, can be remotely controlled by attacker and enlisted into the botnet. And botnets are commonly used to launch distributed denial of service attacks, which overwhelm a target server, website, or networks with a flood of malicious traffic. So DDoS attacks aim to disrupt the availability of online services by consuming a network bandwidth, exhausting a server resources, or overwhelming networks infrastructure. So let me discuss here to explain about this figure. In the figure, you're gonna see here that gonna illustrate the structure of typical botnet. So botnet is a network of private computers infected with malicious software and controlled as a group with the owner's knowledge, usually to send a spam message or attack to other computers. So let me break down of this figure. In the figure you're gonna see here, first we have a part master. So part master we sometimes we call the part herder. This is usually a computer that is used by a attacker or hacker. So this computer gonna send out instructions or commands to command and control servers. So you're gonna see here the arrow marked 1, so indicates the communications from the part master to the command and control servers. And second, we see here command and control servers. These servers relay the part master's instructions to the infected and and we could say the conscripted parts and the command and control servers are central to the operation of botnet. They act as an intermediary to make botnet harder to detect and disrupt. And you see here the arrow marks 2 indicate the communication from the uh, command and control servers to the infected and conscripted parts. Third one you see here, infected and conscripted parts. These are typically personal computers or devices that have been infected with the malware, allowing the botnet operators to control them remotely. So these computers are controlled by bot masters remotely. So these computers can be used to perform various malicious attacks. So these computers you see here that gonna perform malicious tasks such as a distributed denial of service attacks, sending a spam or mining cryptocurrency. And fourth, you see a targeted victim. And this is the recipients of malicious activity directed by the botnet. The arrow mark 3 indicates the attack traffic going from the uh, conscripted bots to the targeted victim. The victim can be a single computer, or victim can be a network, or victim can be entire service, or victim can be website. It depends on the situation. The image effectively represents how the botnet can be used to amplify a cyber attack by using a large number of infected computers to target a single system or network. So here we need to discuss in detail ransomware. Ransomware is a type of malicious software that's designed to block access to computer system or data unit until a sum of money is paid. When it comes to Internet of Things devices, which are everyday devices connected to Internet, the attack vectors and implications can be different. First is the infections. So IoT devices can be infected with a ransomware through vulnerabilities in their firmware or when they communicate with infected servers or other devices. And infection can also occur through phishing attacks targeting users of these devices. Second is exploitations of weak security. So many IT devices lack robust security measures, making them easier targets for ransomware, default credential, unpaged security flaws, and the lack of secure update mechanisms can be exploited. Third one is access and control. One infected attackers can lock the device or encrypt the data it contains or controls. In the case of critical IoT devices such as security cameras or smart locks, this can directly impact physical security. Fourth is a demand for ransomware, means asking for money. Attackers demand for ransom to unlock the device or decrypt data. Payment is usually demanded in cryptocurrency, means Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrency, to maintain the attacker's anonymity. Fifth is a secondary attacks. Infected IoT devices can be used as a part of botnets to launch secondary attacks, including spreading ransomware to other devices. So these risks posed by ransomware to users and organizations. So what happens by secondary attacks? First, loss of access and data. So user and organizations may lose access to critical data and devices, halting operations. This may be a loss of sensitive and proprietary data if it's encrypted and cannot be recovered without the decryption key. Second loss is the financial loss. Paying the ransom can be costly, and there is no guarantee that access will be restored or that the attackers won't demand more money. Additional financial losses can occur due to disruptions of operations and the cost associated with the mitigations recovery efforts. So third is the reputation damage. Organizations can suffer damage to their reputations if the ransomware attack becomes public knowledge, especially if customer data is compromised. So loss of trust can lead to a loss of business. Fourth is operational disruptions. An attack can bring operations to stand still, especially if critical systems are affected. This is a Particularly significant industries like healthcare, where IoT devices are crucial for patient care. Fifth is a legal and regulatory consequences. There may be legal implications if a person if personal data is compromised, leading to potential violations of data protection laws like GDPR. Organization may gonna face fines, sections, and legal actions from affected parties. Six is increased vulnerability. A successful ransomware attack often highlights weakness in organization's security posture, potentially inviting further attacks. Affected organizations may become target for other cyber criminals. Prevention and mitigation strategies for ransomware include regular software updates, robust security protocols, implied training to recognize phishing attempts, frequent backups of critical data, and use of security solutions tailored to the IoT ecosystems. So here you see the figure image. In this image, we're gonna see here representation of ransomware attack and its aftermath. Number one, you see here infected computer. On the left side, there is a laptop. This laptop displaying a large padlock symbol, which is a common way to represent that the computer has been locked or encrypted by ransomware. So it means this computer is locked or encrypted by ransomware. The broken bits or darts leading from this computer, the hand with the money, symbolize the disruptive path of ransomware infection, ransomware transaction. Number two. So the center of the image shows a hand, this hand extending from the infected computer holding out cash, indicating the payment of ransomware. The uh, key in the other hand suggests that once the ransomware is paid, the attackers will provide a decryption key to unlock the files. Third is the attacker's promise. The right side displays another laptop with a skull and corresponds a symbol often associated with danger, piracy, or malicious activity. This signifies the attacker or source of the ransomware. The implication is that the attacker will remove the ransomware or decrypt the files upon receiving the payment. The fourth is you're going to see the cyclic nature of the attack. The curved arrows create a circular motion between the two laptops, which can imply the uh, nature of ransomware attacks from infections and encryptions to ransom payment and possibly back to the access being granted. However, this cycle also suggests a cautionary note. Paying the ransom does not always guarantee that attacker will decrypt the files, and it may encourage a future attacks. Overall, the image captures the essence of ransomware attack. A computer is compromised, leading to a demand for ransom, which is followed by uncertain promise of file decryptions. It highlights the adversarial transaction between victim and attacker and dangerous precedents set by acquiring to the ransom demands. So vulnerabilities in IoT devices, what kind of vulnerabilities? There is a list of vulnerability you see here. We have from insecure network service, inadequate update mechanisms, lack of device management, resource limitations, poor physical security, third-party components, device disposal. So let me discuss all these uh, vulnerabilities in IoT devices. So first of all, vulnerability in IoT devices refer to security weaknesses or flaws that can be exploited by attackers within the Internet of Things ecosystem. IoT devices range from household appliances to industrial machines that are connected to internet for added functionality and convenience. So detailed aspect of vulnerability in IoT devices. First is insecure network services. Many IoT devices are designed to be remotely accessible over internet, which can expose them to unauthorized access if network services are not secured properly. Second one is inadequate updates. Mechanisms. Some IoT devices lack the capability to be updated easily and securely. This means that known vulnerabilities can remain unpatched, leaving devices open to exploitation. And the third is the insecure ecosystem interfaces. IoT devices often interact with external ecosystems, including cloud services, mobile apps, which may have their own security flaws that can be used to compromise the device. Fourth is insufficient privacy protection. These devices may collect and transmit personal data without proper encryptions and user consent, leading to the privacy breach. Fifth is use of default or weak credentials. So devices shipped with a default username and passwords, which users often do not change, provide an easy target for attackers. Six is a lack of secure data storage. Some devices do not securely store sensitive data such as Wi-Fi, credential, and personal information, making them susceptible to data theft. Seven is a poor physical security. If the physical devices access to a device is obtained, insecure interface like USB ports can be used to upload malicious firmware or extract ransomware or sensitive data. Sorry, not ransomware, but extract the sensitive data. Eight is an insecure firmware. Firmware that's not encrypted or signed can be reverse engineered, modified, or re-updated to the device to perform malicious actions. Ninth is a lack of device management. Many IoT devices lack the ability to monitor and log events properly, making it difficult to detect and respond to security incidents. Tenth is insecure communication, means devices that do not use encryption when communicating with controllers or other devices can have their communication intercepted and manipulated. 11th is a resource limitations, means IoT devices often have a limited processing power and memory, which restricts the implementing of strong security measures. 12 is unregulated developments. The rush to market for many IoT devices means that security can be after thought in the design process. 13 is the third-party components. IoT devices frequently utilize third-party components with their own vulnerabilities, which can compromise the host device. Now we have a 14 device disposal. Uh, Improper disposal of IoT devices can lead to recovery of sensitive data by malicious actor. So these are known vulnerabilities in IoT devices. So addressing these vulnerabilities particularly requires a comprehensive security approach, including a secure design practices, regular software updates, user education, and implementation of robust security protocols. Manufacturers, developers, and users must work collaboratively to ensure the security and integrity of IoT devices and the networks they operate on it. So here we have a figure. It shows the process of cyber attacks on Internet of Things devices by exploiting their vulnerabilities. So let me provide the details that's in this figure. First, you see here cyber criminal. Cyber criminal means the attacker gonna begin with the cyber criminal who's actually looking for IoT devices with a weak security. This often involves scanning a range of IP addresses to find devices that are vulnerable to known exploit. Then you see here scan for weak devices. The attacker scans devices, so those devices which are connected to the internet to identify those with a security weakness such as outdated firmware, open ports, and default passwords. Third, you see here exploits the vulnerability. Once a potential target is found, the attacker gonna focus on a specific vulnerability that can be exploited. This could be a software flaw, an unpaged security hole, or it could be a weak encryption. Fourth is a exploit vulnerability here. So the cyber criminals use the vulnerability to gain unauthorized access to the device. This is often done by using known exploits or brute force attacks. Fifth, gain control of IoT devices. So after exploiting the vulnerability, the attacker gains control over the IoT devices that they can now manipulate the device, change settings, or install additional malicious software. Six is IoT device you see here. The compromised IoT device may start performing tasks under the command of attacker, such as recording conversation or video without the owner's knowledge. So record conversation, collect private video recording means the IoT device could be used to spy on the user by recording private conversation or video footage. These could be a sensitive personal or business discussion that a attacker could use for malicious purpose such as blackmail or espionage. And SIP 8 is a malicious server. The data collected by compromised IoT device is sent to the server controlled by attacker. This server can store the illicitly obtained data or act as a command or control center for coordinating further attacks. 9 is here sends your private information to malicious server. In the bottom you see here this is message. This is a final step in the attacker is a exfiltration of data via recorded conversations and videos are sent from IoT devices to attacker's malicious server. The image serves this image serves as a visual representation of process by which IoT devices can be compromised and used to violate the privacy of individuals and organizations. It highlights the importance of securing IoT devices against such vulnerabilities to protect against cyber threats. So how are we gonna mitigate IoT attacks? There are different methods you see here. We're gonna apply to mitigate the IoT attacks. So first, let me explain and give you high-level talks about mitigation process. Then I would like to discuss here these mitigation methods. So mitigation IoT attacks involves taking proactive steps to secure Internet of Things devices and networks from various cybersecurity threats. So we can apply different mitigation strategies to avoid IoT attacks. First is the device security. Uh, In the device security means uh, firmware updates. First the device security, and then we have in the device security we have firmware updates. Regularly update device firmware to patch vulnerabilities, and then we can use also password management, means change default passwords to strong unique passwords, and manage them uh, effectively. And then we have a secure configuration, means we can disable unnecessary services and ports to minimize potential entry points for attackers. Second is a network security. It means uh, segmentation. In the network security, we can do a segmentation, means isolate IoT devices on a separate network segments to restrict the spread of potential attacks. And we can also use firewalls, means imply firewalls to filter incoming and outgoing network traffic. We can use also virtual private network for secure remote access to IoT devices. Third is a data encryption. Encryption in a transit. Data encryption consists of some features that are very important to be used. First, as I mentioned here, like encryption in transit means encrypted data being transmitted to and from IoT devices to prevent encryptions. And also we can use encryption at rest, means encrypt sensitive data stored on devices to protect against unauthorized access. And also we can use access controls. In access controls, it means we can use authentication protocols, means we can implement strong authentication mechanisms to ensure that only authorized users can access IoT devices. And we can apply authorization policies, means we can define and enforce strict user permissions for device interactions. Fifth, we can also use monitoring and detection, means anomaly detections. First, we have like anomaly detections, use intrusion detection systems ideas to monitor for abnormal behaviors that may indicate attacks. Also, in monitoring and detections, we can use audit trails, means we can keep details, logs, and audit trails for forensic analysis and incident response. And security and design six means we can incorporate security in development process, means we have to integrate security consideration during the design and development states of IoT devices. Also, we can apply the secure software. So the security best practice throughout the software development life cycle also important. Seven is a regular security assessments. We can apply the vulnerability scanning. So it gonna provide routine scans to identify and address vulnerabilities, and we can also use a penetration testing process that gonna simulate attacks to the test the resilience of IoT devices and networks. Eight is a user training and awareness. It means we can start education programs, particularly train users on security best practices, threat recognitions, and importance of security updates. And we have such kind of policies. So those policies can develop and communicate clear security policies for IoT devices usage. Ninth is a vendor management, so we can have also supply chain security that can ensure the IoT devices and components are sourced from reputable vendors with a commitment to security. And also we can have a collaborations on security, so vendors for timely updates and support when vulnerability are discovered. And 10th is incident response planning. So we can have a incident response plan significantly tailored for IoT related incidents. And also we should have such kind of team that should establish a dedicated responsible response for potential IoT security incidents. Last but not least, regulatory compliance. So compliance first standards adhere to industry standards and government's regulations regarding IT security. So by adopting these measures, organizations can significantly enhance the security of their IoT devices, mitigate risk associated with the IoT attacks, and better prepare to respond to potential security incidents. It's a comprehensive effort that involves technology solutions, governance policies, and educations to create a robust defense against increasing threats targeting IoT ecosystems. So let me conclude this lecture here. In a conclusion, attacks against IoT, Internet of Things devices present a significant and growing threats to personal, corporate, and national security. These attacks capitalize on inherent vulnerabilities in IoT devices, including weak security protocols, lack of regular updates, and inadequate user security awareness. As IoT devices continue to permeate every facet of our lives, from smart home devices to industrial IoT applications, they become attractive targets for malicious actors seeking to exploit these vulnerabilities to steal data, disrupt services, or gain unauthorized access to broader networks. To counteract these threats, comprehensive measures are needed. These include the developments and enforcements of robust security standards for IoT manufacturers, the regular updating and patching of IoT devices, increase the user education on security best practices, and integrations of advanced security technologies such as AI-driven threats detection systems. Furthermore, collaborative efforts between industry, academia, and government are essentials to advance the security frameworks and regulatory guidelines necessary to protect against and mitigate the effects of IoT-related cyber attacks. So I can say that addressing these challenges proactively will be key to ensuring the safety and reliability of IoT technology in the future. So that was a last lecture. Thanks for listening. If you have any question about IoT devices, attacks, mitigations, vulnerabilities, I will be so happy to respond your questions. So once again, thank you so much for your patience, for listening. I really appreciate your time being with me here.
Mm,
Thank you
Thank you.
for